And we're live. Painkiller Nearly, episode 155. Oh, gosh. Are you guys playing a trick on me?
As soon as you said we're live, I got like this weird freeze. Like everything froze a bit. But I think we're good now.
That's I think not true. Taylor was moving
swear
slightly.
to God, I think Taylor may have played along, but like I actually got a technical issue. Taylor's just like in the groove like that, ready to fuck with people. That's all that's about. So man, 214 happened, and it was 214, right? I hope it wasn't 230. 214 happened, and that I thought it was an excellent card. I thought it was like an 8 out of 10, especially compared to it was the best card this year. It was the most successful card this year. Mm-hmm. It started off, we were just discussing with these guys. Jimmy Manawa fought this guy whose name we can't pronounce. This
Volkan. Oh, I can pronounce it. It's Mir.
This is the same card as John Jones and Daniel Cormier.
That was the final one.
They start from worst and go to last. That's usually their idea. Make you sit through the whole fucking thing. So Jimmy Manawa comes out, gets his ass knocked the fuck out in 22 seconds. This Volkan guy just starts the night with a bet.
I just feel like to lay it out, Jimmy Manawa was a world, like he was the man. He was probably next in line for a title shot, maybe Gustafsson, but he's out there calling out DC week after week. I can get you. The reason Jimmy Manawa is on this card is if Jones or Daniel Cormier get hurt, he's the fill-in, right? They do that a lot.
I love they do that. Yeah,
Lozon was that guy once when Frankie Edgar fight Benson Henderson. Lozon and Pettis were on the card, and they didn't tell him which, but they're like, hey, come out to Tokyo. If someone drops out of the title fight, just saying, that's why you're here.
Man, I'd have had those eye drops ready. You know how you poison people with like eye drops? Boink, boink, have some Pettis, boink, boink. Like, I'd take 2 or 3 fighters out. I'd end up fighting some guy that they didn't even have. Like, if you take all 3 of them out, then they got to find just some dummy to fight you. But it's still showtime, right? You get to go tee off on some guy that hasn't even done a camp.
That's a real thing, that eye drops give you diarrhea.
Oh, it's no. So I read up on this quite a bit last time we talked about this. They will give you a lot of things, and diarrhea is one of them, but they can also mess with your heart rate, slow your breathing. If you dump a whole, I mean, it feels silly to talk about this, but I think we should, because there's this like urban myth that, oh yeah, it'll give him the poops. You could kill your buddy if you give him these things, like especially if like he's got a heart murmur you don't fucking know about it or some weird shit. He's got some respiratory condition. You'll kill someone with those things.
I had no idea it was that dangerous.
I thought it came up on PKA and that was an urban legend. Like we researched it.
Well, it was not. Well, we researched and we discovered that like it has all kinds of like bad things that it can do to you. It's really bad for you. All right, but back to the fight. What was was the third fight of the night? Cyborg.
Yes, she was third. Lawler and Cerrone was second, if we're going in order. And that was good.
Yeah, I want to talk. So Cyborg comes out, and she looks like what Cyborg is. She looks like an unbeatable god. She looks like a man. She looks monstrous. Her shoulders are too wide for a woman. Her hips are too narrow. She's got a masculine frame in it, and it's like, God damn, here she comes. And then Tanya Evinger, her opponent, comes out. And this is when I realize who Tanya Evinger is and why they always just show her butchy face. It's because Tanya Evinger has skinny arms and narrow shoulders, and she's a 135 top 10 in the UFC, if you ask me. She needs to be fighting someone like Beche Carrera or something like that.
That'd be a fun fight.
It would. I think they've actually fought before, maybe. But it maybe in Strikeforce or something. But anyway, they fucking go at it, and right away you're like, oh my God, this is the least skilled opponent I've ever seen in a 5-round fight, Tanya Evinger. And the worst thing is, Chris Cyborg has no technique. We've been lied to, apparently. She has no technique. All she does is manhandle people, and she's clearly so, like, I don't want to say afraid, because she's not afraid, but she's being careful. She's being technical. And when she should be going in there and just throwing this bitch down and just dog fucking her, because she could.
Rousey was a superstar, because Rousey would go in there and beat bitches in the first round. She has 19-second win over Beche or whatever her name was.
Yeah.
If the Cyborg we saw that night fought Beche, she'd slowly pick her apart across 4 rounds. You know, being careful. And it's this is the UFC, man. We want to see some animals in there. We want to
entertainment. It's entertainment. And Tanya Evinger comes out there and she gives her heart out. She fights as hard as she possibly can. If any, Tanya Evinger won a lot of fans. Chris Cyborg lost a lot of fans. That's my analysis of that fight. And it's not because of anything bad Cyborg did. It was just that she wasn't what she'd been sold as.
She fought like Woodley.
She fought very safe and technically. She didn't take many hits, partially because, man, did you see Evinger's offense? It was these big, telegraphed, overhand, looping windmill punches that are just bar fight, amateur type stuff. It's the stuff you see out of someone who doesn't know anything about striking and they're afraid, and that's what she was. She was afraid, and she admitted it afterwards, and she should have been.
I can't describe it exactly, but something about the way Evinger moved just betrayed that she was not athletic. Right?
Yes, very uncoordinated.
Like the sand snakes, very
unfluid.
On the other hand, I remember when I fought Joe Lauzon, the first time ever you were there with the camera doing the Russian accent in his gym, Joe just jumped up and down and loosened up his neck, and I was like, he's different than me, right? Something about the way he shook it out.
You can see the muscle chain activating just in his regular movements. Everything's moving with flow and with precision. And when you see top, the biggest thing that'll give it away to if you haven't seen a lot of fights is if a regular fighter's out there and he or she's in her stance and you put a hand on them and give them a push or whatever, their level will change. Or their feet will move in unison, and they'll move the right foot first. There's no you'd never cross your feet. Your feet move a certain way. Tanya didn't have any of that. Cyborg would put a little pressure on her. She'd give her a jab or push her or give a body shot, and she would tip. She would tip top first, instead of lowering her body and ooh, let me balance. Let me keep my balance. You see these guys talk about movement coaches, and I see Conor out there doing crazy rolling around and crawling like a panther or something, and it seems silly, but Tanya could really benefit from some of that panther movement because she looked uncoordinated and stiff, and wasn't a great fight.
145-pound women is a total disaster right now. First of all, it appears that there's only one fighter in this whole division. And
that's not going to last.
She's champion.
Not after that showing. So in my opinion,
but no one was willing to fight her before this fight. Nobody was, and she wasn't interesting. The champion before her backed out. The woman's the champion, right? She's got a giant belt bigger than my head, the Iron Lady, and they say, "All right, number one contender, Cyborg. She's next," and the woman goes, "Nah, I'd rather not fight it. I'll retire. Here's the belt. Here's my championship belt." Anything, just please don't make me fight Cyborg. So I was ready to see this kill. It couldn't have gone much worse. It was absolutely a disaster. I guess I still like watching it, though.
I think Amanda Nunes can beat Cyborg. I think de Randamie can beat Cyborg. That's not a totally original idea. I had it last night, but then I heard Frank Mir say it today, and I was like, I couldn't agree more. I was that's what I was thinking last night. I was thinking Amanda Nunes hits harder than Cyborg, I think. It's definitely harder and more accurate. If they're both hitting some mechanical machine, Cyborg can produce more power, more raw power, but Amanda Nunes is going to apply it in a much more precise, timed way that Cyborg doesn't have the skill for. I was not impressed with Cyborg. I feel like she's like a Brock Lesnar type character who's just all overpowering mass and very little skill to go with it. Although Brock has that wrestling background, so that's not entirely true.
But isn't she kind of understood to be the person to beat right now with women?
No, well, we'll see. All right, so in Japan, there's this 250-pound woman, right? So, is she the one to beat? Not really.
That's gross.
Exactly. But and then at 145 pounds fighting weight, Chris Cyborg's the woman to beat. There's only one woman in the world who does that.
Being a woman and fighting at 250 pounds is like being a man and fighting at 83 pounds. There are no other people in that range to fight. You're going to be the best by default. If you're the Grand Poobah, the strongest dwarf in America, you could just dominate that whole run. Dwarf Wars. I'd watch. Would you tell me that you wouldn't be incredibly intrigued if they brought out two dwarves who both know how to fight and they did a UFC, a little person UFC?
I've been saying that for a long time. I thought, no, for real. I think
it's a great
maybe
idea.
You bring maybe you bring a couple of little people out. That's part of the event.
And you don't do it in a trashy way.
Woodley Maya, and that was the next fight of the night.
Did Woodley win?
He absolutely did. So
nice.
So Tyron Woodley.
That's my guy. Yeah.
He looks like a fucking action figure. He is very muscular and like that bulbous, like anime drawn kind of way where the muscles are very rounded. It looks like you drew a bunch of circles. You know, you learn to draw certain things. It's like, oh yeah, draw 4 ovals and then a circle on top and you connect. It's a duck. If you drew a whole bunch of big circles and then put a head on top, it'd be Tyron Woodley because it's just these massive muscles.
Not only does he look amazing, right? He is a perfect specimen. He doesn't look like he's on steroids. And this is just the eye test, and it's inaccurate, and etc. But sometimes people on steroids have oversized heads. Their traps are particularly well developed. And their body fat is insanely low in their Tyron Woodley looks amazing. Not insanely vascular, though. His oblique muscles, a little bit of body fat. Not fat, don't get me wrong. He's but... Like, he doesn't have bitch tits. He looks like an amazing...
Like 9% body fat or something.
Possibly natural. Amazing.
Yeah. What are the biggest things to look for steroids? Big head, bitch tits.
Mm-hmm. It also has to do with their history as a fighter. I think, like, there are some guys who, like, all of a sudden, like, Vito Belfort, right? Like, he didn't pass the eye test. There's guys who, like... Their careers were going a certain way, and then they become a totally different kind of athlete, like a Barry Bonds.
In your late 30s.
Yeah, you look at Barry Bonds.
Usually when you get your second win in professional fighting.
Barry Bonds, early in his career, he's very slender. He's tall and slender, and he moves very well. He had a lot of stolen bases early in his career. He's an agile athlete. And then you see the end game, Barry Bonds, where he literally has, like, armor on. Like he's given up on speed. He's got that armor thing on his elbow he wears because he's coming out and sitting on that plate. And if you want to hit him, fucking hit him. Like he's gonna ding that thing. Like you're not gonna intimidate him because he's wearing fucking armor. I'd never seen that before. Like I just remember being like,
have you seen
why
it
does
since?
he get armor?
Did it get popular?
No.
Okay.
What got popular was walking Barry Bonds. It was just outrageous, and that was steroids. Like it's totally, you could just see it. And so that to me is the one. Like when guys get better in their 40s, like we know Anderson Silva is not on steroids right at this moment because he's got dad bod and he's not himself.
I remember it with Mark McGwire happening like in real time because that McGwire-Sosa home run race was so huge everywhere in the country. It seemed like every day there was a new picture of those two on the front page of a newspaper, and you could see in real time, like, God damn, like Mark McGwire's putting in the hours at the gym. Like, Jesus Christ. And then, like, if you, like, he like, I looked up
of the season.
I looked up pictures like of here, like the before and after steroid thing for him. Like, forearms have to be another thing that's indicative of steroids because this guy's like, you cannot look at Mark McGwire's forearms from like 2000 and be like, that's just a healthy man. Like, no,
forearms are so important in batting. They're like he, because of those overdeveloped forearms, and you probably know, like those guys have a whole different kind of hitting power that the rest of the people don't have. Like swinging a bat is this big fluid motion with a whole bunch of muscles working and your hips and your foot placement, and there's all kinds of ways to do it. That's the other thing. Like in sport, I don't know, in hockey, is there many different ways to hit a puck? He uses the Weaver stance, and this guy's a standing triangle.
There's lots of different styles. You can do slap shots, snap shots, wrist shots.
I don't know any hockey stances.
Backhanders. There's tons of different ways to shoot it. But
all right.
But not like the slap shot in particular. Do lots of people do it differently? Like I really just.
Does anyone like do a wind up? Does anyone like do anything
they do that
raise their front leg and step? Like, is there any of that? I feel like that's just telegraphing like a very quick, important movement.
Zdeno Chara used to do his slap shot where like he's the guy who's like 6'10" and from Czechoslovakia, one of those fucking countries, and a lot of people just bring their stick up to here and do the slap shot. He used to do it where he would be like, like until it was like going over, like pointing the other direction, and then come down and whip it. And this was the guy that has a stick so big that other players can't use it because his hands are massive, his forearms are massive, and so he'd get that thing going like 109 miles an hour.
McGwire's forearms were just so much that with just wrists in his forearms, he could knock one out into the shallow left field or something. Like it was very impressive. But yeah, Damian Maia, Tyron Woodley fight. Maia's thing, he's on a 7-win win streak. He's a specialist. He's a jiu-jitsu master, probably the best in the UFC. Everyone regards him as such. And Maia's game plan was clearly don't let him take you down. No matter what, don't let him
Woodley's
take you down.
Game plan was that?
Excuse me. Yes, that's Woodley's game plan. Maya's game plan is nothing but I'm going to take you down. Woodley's game plan is don't let it happen. Attempts. 24 times this guy shot on him, tried to take him down. His knees were bloody from scraping him on the mat. Both.
How many times did he get him?
Never got him.
What? That doesn't even seem. That's like an anomaly, isn't it? Like you'd think at least one of them.
Woodley has a 90% takedown denial. There's a term for it.
Maybe 95%.
Like
it's the high. Yeah.
He's been stat padding for 5 rounds.
Highest for a welterweight ever. So. But
that's like the UFC version of like cage shot or cage match headshots.
In the first round, like the second or third time that Maia tried to take Woodley down, Woodley hits him with an uppercut, a very hard uppercut in his eye. And it closes the eye about 3/4 of the way, maybe a little more. And Woodley just kept his distance, kept a really consistent pace that I'm sure he knew he could keep because his cardio's off the chain.
For the next 24.5 minutes, he stalled.
Yeah.
It was so...
Yeah. It broke a record for least strikes thrown in a 5-round fight. It cut the record in half. The previous record was like 124 punches thrown, 63 or something thrown in this one, 62, something like that.
Yeah.
It was the crowd was going, boring, and waving their cell phones like at a concert. I've never seen the cell phone thing ever. That you could see them like fireflies in the background of the cage, just waving like a concert. It was awful.
So some people will say a fight is boring, and like I'm one of those like I don't know, wine and cheese guys who are like, no, you just didn't appreciate the subtleties of all that was happening, all those feints. This fight was boring as fuck. Yeah. It was just one guy shooting untelegraphed takedowns from 12 feet, or telegraphed takedowns from 12 feet away. Another guy stuffing them easily for 25 minutes, and it was
Maia was not impressive. Maia looked like if you didn't tell me that Maia was on a 7-fight win streak, if you told me that Maia just came out of retirement and he's been gone for a year, I'd have believed that.
So the thing with Maia is if he gets you down once, you're doomed. He is so awesome. He will accept you if Woodley's like, hey, I'll go down with you in full mount. Maia would still say yes. Like, just dare you to touch the canvas with me, I will wreck you. Twice, Woodley grabbed the cage to prevent a takedown.
Saw that.
And I wonder what would have happened.
Is that against the rules?
Yes.
Yeah. So Woodley cheated because he was going down. He grabs the cage. And now the takedown fails. One time he got a formal warning. The other time I don't think they did anything.
Didn't take the point, even though he said, I'm going to take
he said, you do it again, I'm taking a point. And then he did it again later on, and there was no point taken. Not that it would have mattered, because...
what
were the scores? I thought it was pretty lopsided.
There was one of them where... I don't remember the scores. I don't remember the scores.
So was this whole fight, like, Maia, I guess, doing badly? Or was it just kind of like a bad showing?
What it was Woodley was afraid. Woodley does not want to lose his championship belt. He has a lot of everybody wants the money fight. They want to get this. They want to fight GSP, who's right around the corner. This guy coming back out of retirement, who is in that weight division and a superstar. Like he was the Conor McGregor of his time. The idea is that. And I watched the press conference for this event, and a reporter asked Dana White, they're like, hey, has the GSP Bisping fight sailed? He's like, oh, yeah, that ship has sailed. Whoever wins this fight gets GSP. And Tyrone goes, nuh-uh, because he don't want to fight me. He's like, nobody. You win the fight on Saturday, you get GSP. Immediately after the fight, they interview Dana White. He's like, who wants to pay to see Tyron Woodley fight again? I'm like, whoa, that's the guy that runs the UFC.
He's the promoter. He's the guy that promotes Woodley is like, yeah,
I wouldn't
pay to watch Woodley fight. Yeah, he's like,
that was a boring
he says,
fight.
I'm going to take GSP. I'm going to fight him against Bisping because Bisping will come to fight. Bisping will fight GSP. Woodley, that guy doesn't come to fight. Now, Dana, it's 3 times in a row now. So he fought this ground specialist, Damian Maia, and all he did is like push him away. Super careful, super calculated, got his win. And then he fought Wonder Boy twice before. Wonder Boy's an exciting fighter, but both Wonder Boy and Woodley were just super cautious, avoiding each other. So Woodley has 3 duds in a row now.
Who won those?
So the first
I only know who Wonder Boy is because you guys said it, but he's one of the big ones.
The first time they fought, it was a majority draw. So that's kind of like a Woodley win because the champion keeps his belt. The second time they fought, Woodley just won.
Yeah, the Wonder Boy guy is a really exciting fighter to watch because he's kind of what you used to see in karate movies because he's like a point karate expert and he's got an unorthodox stance. He stands funny. He's kind of and he moves funny and he does a lot of kicks, a lot of high kicks and fun stuff to watch. Fun. Yeah, and when he connects with them a lot. He's very accurate. He's throwing these kicks up like it's the dexterity on his. Or you're like, oh. That's a little different than when some of these clumsy fuckers throw a kick. They're just throwing a kick because they've hit a bag 8,000 times, whereas Woodley's probably kicked a bag 800,000 times or something like that. He's just another level. And both of them play the distance game, and both of them are pretty similar. And Woodley was like, I'm not going to let that fucker kick me in the head. And he didn't.
So Woodley's had 3 boring fights in a row now. And like Kyle was saying, GSP, the guy everyone's excited to see return to the UFC, is not going to fight Woodley anymore. That would have been like he would have got huge pay-per-view money. And they're like, I'm going to take that pay-per-view money. I'm going to give it to Bisping because Bisping will come to fight. And he will.
$1 million. It's $1 million, I would say. Like whoever goes to fight against Bisping, they'll get $1 million.
Maybe I would say this. The difference between GSP and someone else is $1 million. Like if they would have gotten $450,000 for a dud fight, they'll get 1.4 for the GSP fight.
Yeah, maybe so. It just depends who they are, I guess. They asked who Tyron was going to fight next, and Dana said, I know what he said. I know why he said this, because it's the thing Tyron fears the most. He said, maybe Robbie Lawler. maybe the savage that we keep in the back.
Yeah.
We bring out every now and then.
He's Blanca from Street Fighter. He's just like, with the hair and the orange shit. Like, maybe we'll get that guy in there. Have a champ that comes to fight.
Speaking of him, he was the good fight of the night, the best fight of the night, if you ask me.
I would have picked Cormier, but all right.
Robbie Lawler against Cowboy Cerrone, 2 guys who were just don't give any shit. But
real quick,
don't
is Cowboy Cerrone the guy from It's Always Sunny?
Yeah, and the guys from It's Always Sunny are there ringside, like all 3 of them. They're next to each other, like Dennis is pointing at the camera, giving him the crazy eye. So yeah, they're all friends. I heard Cerrone mention those guys in one of his podcast interviews. But yeah, I'm not a huge fan of Cerrone's personality. He head kicked that civilian, and that seems like
he's been in 2 street fights.
I feel like pros should choke out civilians and use their jiu-jitsu because like they know even better than any of us know that that's the safest thing to do. But instead, he kicked that guy in the head, and that guy was drunk. He could have killed that guy, even though that guy was a douchebag.
I would explain it like this. When you're a professional fighter, you can do anything you want, right? If I've rolled with Joe a bunch of times, just about everything that happens is whatever Joe chose to happen. So Cerrone just he had, like I was saying, he had every option at his fingertips, and he decided to hurt that guy.
He's like the cop who shoots the drunk guy instead of tasing him first or something. So whoa, you shot him first? Like you. God damn. Like, you could have whooped him with a stick or pepper sprayed him or tased him or just asked him to leave politely, maybe. Mm-hmm. Like, you went straight to the 9. Okay. And that's what Cowboy did. That was kind of a douche move. But anyway, Cowboy's a badass. He comes to fight. He's always ready to fight, which I admire. And he's always willing to fight, which I really admire. Because, after this loss that he received the other night, he was like, "Get me back in there ASAP, boss." Give it again. So first round, Lawler comes after Cerrone like a bat out of hell. He's pressuring this guy all the fuck over him, and I was like, "Oh man, Cowboy's taking a beating right away." Immediately, Cowboy's eyes swollen up. And it seemed like Robbie had, I don't know if this was his plan, but it seemed like it was going to round 1 and destroy, burn it, like all your energy. Take round 2 off. Coast, because he's going to want to recover. While he's recovering, you coast, and then round 3, fuck him up again. That's what it felt like. I don't know if that's his plan. He's a championship level fighter. He can do 5 rounds of cardio, so it didn't make a ton of sense for him not to just press for 3 rounds. But maybe he can't at that kind of tempo. But God, he pressed him so fucking hard. Round 2, Cerrone doesn't coast though. He throws a lot of good kicks. He pressures Lawler back, and I think he wins round 2. And round 3 was a lot closer, I think, than Lawler would hope it was. I think the strikes was like 36-34, significant strikes. He won. So round 3 was very close. I thought that was an excellent fight, and that's a perfect example of Tyron should look at that and be like, that's how you get rich. That's how you get the money fight. Like nobody's looking at Cowboy Cerrone on Monday morning and going, he lost. What a pussy. No, they're looking at Tyrone and saying that. They're like, I won, but I don't want to see that. It's exactly what Dana said. It's entertainment, and Tyron's not entertaining, but Cowboy is. I'll pay to see Cowboy before I will Tyrone.
Tyron, it looks like his takedown defense is even higher than what Woody thought. He's number one all time, 97.6%.
He had a good weekend.
It might have been 90 before 24 in a row. Yeah. What would it be do you see the two? Can you do the math and subtract 24?
No, it just says him compared to other fighters. The next guy up is Renan Barreau, 97.1. Then John Jones at 95.
He was already second all time, so he did get to first because a reporter asked him a week ago, do you think Maia will take you down even once? And he was like, oh yeah, I think he'll take me down at least once. But you got to keep in mind, I'm number 2 all time, in takedown defense, and number 1 is a welterweight, and so I guess he climbed on up the ladder, got himself another award or record. But he's won no fans from that, lost some, I'm sure. And the biggest thing is, it seems like either Dana White's playing some games, or he's real upset with him. And Tyron comes out today and says, Dana White better give me a fucking public apology, or I'm going to start leaking some shit. And they're like, whoa, what are you referring to? He knows what I'm referring to. It's like silly drama.
I read on Reddit that Dana buckled, but I have no idea if Dana buckled, what buckled. Like, I don't, or maybe it's not even true. I mean, it's Reddit comments, right?
Based on 4 hours ago, it says Dana White, Tyron Woodley and I spoke. We're cool now, from TMZ. So, they wouldn't lie.
He tells lies like that, though. He'll just tell you a lie like that, and then the fighter will be like, oh, I haven't seen him in months. What's he on about? And now he looks like the asshole. He's like, oh, so you're reigniting the feud. Well, you're like, no, he never made good. He's fucking me. Well, according to him, this has all been squashed. What is it this time? God damn it.
It's the same time. What do you mean this time? He just... Yeah, Dana White lies about important things and like demonstrably provable false things, and he'll just be like, oh yeah, we talked, we worked it all out, we met, and this guy's like, I've been in Belgium, we didn't meet, I didn't go there, that all of this isn't true.
I was physically removed from that meeting. How could he say that? It took me away.
But yeah, Cerrone's a total badass. Lawler's a totally badass. I can't wait for the Lawler-Woodley fight. I will watch that, but not because of Woodley. Yeah. I just want to see Woodley get knocked the fuck out.
Yeah, he'll get his ass whipped again for a second time. Fucking
Woodley
Lawler's a bad.
No, he won't. Go Woodley. He's got it.
No, you're right. Lawler was the champ, and Woodley took it from him. That's right.
That's true. Right. That's true. Yeah, I don't know if they met another time, but yeah.
Yeah, they did. You're right. I had it backwards. So then the fight of the night comes. This thing with so much emotional baggage and so much buildup and so much writing on it. We got the best Daniel Cormier I think we've ever seen. He looked thin and mean, or he was making his angry face like before. He was running around there doing his laps, getting warmed up. And he looked better than he's ever looked. His physique looked excellent. The problem was John Jones looked better than he's ever looked, physique-wise. I was going to say, I'm going to agree with you. I think
thinner. I thought Jones was a little skinnier.
I thought he looked good. Oh, he definitely is. He
lost talked some muscle.
He did lose some muscle. He said that was better, or maybe that, who knows. Yeah. But I thought he looked like a great version of himself. I'm not sure if he was. I don't know what we saw. I don't know how to equate what I saw, because I feel like I saw Daniel Cormier winning for a long time and really pressing the action, and then getting too overconfident and getting predictable. And after
did you see them predict that like a year ago?
Yeah.
Yeah. John Jones is like, he's got some tells, he's got some holes in his game, and DC's like, what? I know what you're talking about. That's an obvious one. Trust me, that'll be fixed before the fight. And Jones is like, I'm not going to let you know which one I'm talking about. And DC's like, if you tell me, I'll tell you if you have it right, or I might have that backwards. And anyway, it comes out, and he's like, you're not going to catch me with a like left high kick as I duck right or whatever it is. You know, he's like, it's obvious. I know it. Trust me. That'll be worked out of my game before we fight. It won't be there. Good luck. And Jones is like, all right, well, then we'll see. And that is exactly how he beat him, with that high kick to the head from that.
He spent the first 2 rounds, it felt like to me, was some Jones striking with his hands, a couple elbows. But really, it was a lot of oblique kicks, a lot of those like T kicks, like straight push you, get the fuck away from me kicks. No eye pokes. He was getting pressured too much. Daniel's dirty boxing was excellent. It seemed like in round 1, he gets him in the clinch, and it's just uppercut, just and that came out of a counter. I think John struck first, and instead of like getting distance, he gets in the clinch and then just gets 2 solid uppercuts in, and then follows him. He doesn't break away. He's really crowding him, getting into his own range, which you have to do on a guy with a 12-inch reach advantage. It was impressive. Daniel had a great game plan. Then he gets kicked in the head, and he wobbles and he bobbles. Nobody's ever finished Daniel Cormier, and he's never been knocked out. He's twirling around, and it's like, oh my God. I'm like, I'm sure he's thinking, where's the clock at? Trying to find it, and Jones does something really heads up and really interesting. I've heard other people say this. I'm just parroting what they said, but he doesn't go in with his hands and keep going to the body and the head like a lot of people would. He throws this really quick, accurate trip. He just kicks Daniel's leg out from him as he's stumbling. Daniel hits the mat, hits the cage. He throws a round kick, gets him to the mat, and then these lefts start coming onto Daniel's temple. Maybe 5, 6 too many. It was a pounding on the side of his fucking head.
It was maybe too many, like Kyle said, but I like that they do this. Oftentimes, when a belt's on the line, they let a couple extra. They give the champ a chance, or even the challenger. They give these guys a chance to work it out. So at first, Cormier was trying to sit up. You could see he was doing stuff, and then he took a good 3 unanswered heavy blows, and the ref was like, "You're done." And I bet a lot of fighters would be like, "Yeah, you know, like I don't mind that when the belt's on the line, they give these guys a chance to, you know, come back."
Yeah,
I watched the GIF of the final part of the fight where, you know, Jones was raining down those punches on him, and as someone who doesn't know as much about the sport, I thought if you guys didn't mention that he took too many, I wouldn't have noticed. The only time I noticed the shit is when I see somebody getting hit and their hands are still up and the guy jumps in too quick. Like, as a novice, I think that's what you're more likely to pick up than when I saw him getting his ass beat, Cormier, I was like, his arm was still up, kind of. And so I'm like, okay, maybe he's still semi with it. Who knows? But I didn't even notice it was that bad.
It was definitely 3 or 4 too many. I think I said 5 or 6, but it's definitely 3 or 4. Like I don't know. There's a point where you see 2 of them land clean, and his arms don't do anything else after that, and it's like, I don't know. I know he's out. Like I'm just imagining he's going down dizzy and foggy, and then the first one is just foggier, and the second one's lights out. It has to be.
Sometimes you see the guy doing a push-up, trying to recover while getting drilled in the head, and it's like push. Down, and then he goes. Nothing good happens after that. You know, it only gets more brutal.
Oh, I saw the thing about the interview afterward where Joe Rogan interviewed the guy. I couldn't find a good clip of it. It just seemed like he wasn't even answering. He was just crying and clearly uncomfortable.
He's the new crybaby man. Remember Jamie Foxx was talking about how millennials think of Michael Jordan as the crybaby man. Yeah. Daniel Cormier could become the new crybaby man. I felt for him so much. You could tell this meant so much.
Did you see his face, Taylor?
I saw it all.
Yeah, he looked distraught. And then I saw the clip with Joe going I feel horrible about it. I've said for so long that I wouldn't interview people right after they got knocked out, and then I fucked up and did it anyway. And it's yeah, that makes sense. You probably shouldn't interview people when they're not even lucid and they have no idea what's happening. But also, it's how did you not notice? The guy was clearly getting the shit kicked out of him, and you walk over and yeah, how'd you like that fight? And he's just
well, he thought it was stopped too
great,
early.
Joe, not great.
He didn't know he was Daniel kicked in the head.
he was very upset. There's that part where Big John's holding each fighter's hand, and they're about to announce who wins, so he can raise John's hand and everything. And Daniel's just like, "Fucking get off me, fuck off!" And they're all like, "What? What is it?" And John is like, "Is he disrespecting me right now? Is he not wanting to like give me my like moment? Like, is that what this is?" And he's a little distraught. But what it is Daniel thinks the fight was ended way too early. He doesn't remember the head kick. He doesn't know what happened. But he's just like, "I'm here now. What the fuck?" And he's mad at
how dare you stop this fight? I'm ready to go. If they hadn't stopped that fight, he was gonna die. He would have. Yeah. And
then he saw that, and then he talked to Joe.
And he was so sad. He was so
Wait,
sad.
he saw himself get knocked
out?
out?
They did a replay on the big screen.
Oh, okay.
And then he saw what happened, and now his barely working reptile mind is like, oh shit, I just lost. For years he's wanted to beat this guy. It was a good guy versus bad. I was sad. I woke up the next day like something horrible in the world had happened. Like there. Oh, I'm like, I wake up and I'm like, oh, what is this dread? What was there a tragedy? There was. There was a tragedy. There's something terrible happened in the same year. Jon Jones beat DC, and the Penguins won a cup. Fuck those things.
Equally horrible to you. Yeah.
That was very impressive. Then, of course, he calls out Brock Lesnar,
and drop the mic. I loved it. Maybe you didn't love it, but he's like, Brock Lesnar, you want to see what it's like to get your ass kicked by a guy 40 pounds lighter than you? Meet me in the octagon. And it was just like, that was awesome.
I'll put a crisp 50 on Mr. Lesnar.
I'll take that bet.
I don't know where to bet on that one.
Are they going to allow that fight to happen even though he's 40 or 50 pounds lighter? Or are they going to make
they'll absolutely allow it to happen.
They won't allow it because he's on steroids and he's still suspended. And
he has to, that's what Dana said. He's like, well, he's got to go through 6 months of USADA first, right? What are we talking about?
Is his suspension over from the last time when he fought Mark Hunt, like roided to the
kills? The last time he cheated?
Yeah. Which is every time he's fought.
Brock Lesnar is like one of those corporations that's so big, they're like, we'll pay the fine, whatever. Bill us. Yeah. Do it. All right. Yeah, I'm cheating. What's the tab? I'm running short on time. I got to beat up another giant at noon.
I feel like he's just such a giant human being that someone will approach him and be like, Brock, you're cheating again. And he's like, that's a really interesting point, but nobody's ever made a compelling case to me about why I shouldn't do it. And they're like, you know what, Mr. Lesnar, I'm not going to try and convince you. I trust your health. And there's just no way that people could compellingly bully Brock Lesnar into not doing that. He's too scary.
He's made that a lot
sword
of money.
Tattoo on his chest would look so stupid on 99% of people out, on 99.9, everyone who's, whatever the percentage is of people who is not Brock Lesnar. Put that on most other fighters' chests, and you'll be like, okay, Mr. Kickboxer, you're real tough, aren't you? But with him, you think maybe he did, fight for the Scottish or something. I don't know. He's a scary man. And his hands are unsettlingly large. Yeah. Doesn't he have to wear 6XL gloves or something because he's just swinging cooked hams at people? Yeah. That's what it is.
They had to make him special gloves because he's so goddamn big. It's absurd. But I'd watch Jon Jones. I think Jon Jones can handle that. Brock is pretty unskilled. He's just going to try to take him down, and I think Jon can stay away from him. Plus, Jon will get big for that fight.
And Jon's wrestling is really good, right?
Yeah, so, Jon will get big for that.
Not that Jon can out wrestle Lesnar. That's just crazy talk. But you'll see Lesnar's shots coming. We just watched Woodley take out the best ground fighter in the history of the UFC because it's easier to
a bigger man
deny it than to make it happen. And he's bigger too.
Woodley's 5'9" and Maya's 6 feet. Larger man. I mean, it's not just dramatic as Brock Lesnar, Jon Jones. I don't know how tall Brock is. Jon's 6'4", so with incredible reach. Just a completely different shaped individual. It'd be a fun fight to watch. A bit of a freak fight.
I'll watch it. I'll buy it.
Yeah, I watched that one. Yeah. There's a few freak fights that I'm up for, and that's one of them. I think Amanda Nunes needs to step on up to 145 and get herself a second belt.
I think Jones is going to fight Gustafsson or Gustafin. I think that'll happen again because you can't wait for Brock. That'll be over a year from now or something.
Or Rumble. Rumble will come back for Jones.
Okay. Yeah, I could see that too. So Jones will fight one of them before Lesnar and hopefully still have the belt so we can see the Lesnar fight. And then Nunes, I want to see her fight Cyborg, but that has less chance of happening than the Brock fight, I think.
Fuck her up. I would put my money on Nunes in a heartbeat. She's a black belt on the ground too. In addition to that that outrageous striking, I'd have to go with her.
Plus, I don't hate Nunes. She did just.
I don't. I have nothing against Nunes whatsoever.
I hate her. Yeah.
Not a bit. She, it's like there's no positives for her, but there's no negatives either. She just handles her business and
there is a negative. She pulled out of her last fight.
I was okay with that. That sinusitis thing, like that seems legit to me. Okay. I believe that. When I go to Vegas, my nose bleeds. I can't imagine like
the doctors couldn't find anything wrong with her, and she pulled out of a fight. So there are a lot of people who are like, did she pull out because she knew she was going to fail a drug test? Did she pull out because she just didn't feel like the best version of her, and now she's like cautiously like Jose Aldo used to do that. He pulled out of 5 title fights. He pulled out of one against Conor because anytime the guy wasn't like 1,000,000%, he's like, too sick to fight. Conor's going in there like, you don't need a thumb to fight. Torn ACL, I could beat this guy on one leg. He fucking comes to fight all the time. Jose doesn't, and now Nunes, I guess, doesn't also.
I'm not going that far yet.
Okay.
She's coming next week, right? Like the next event they're fighting. So like, I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
They just they pushed it, kicked it down the road a couple of events. I think it's gonna be a really good fight because Shevchenko's. I've been wanting to see that for a while. I watched. I think I watched their first fight, maybe. Yeah. I think I did. I like that. So yeah, that'll be good. But yeah, I thought that was an excellent UFC card, despite the super boring Tyron Woodley shit, and what was the least qualified 5-round fighter I've ever seen, and I felt for her. It seemed like they tried to feed. Yeah, a little. She was doughy. It was like they tried to feed the goat to the T-Rex, and it like took the T-Rex far too long to kill the goat, and the goat got a few licks in. That's what it was like. It was like,
I thought she was way too fat. I thought
that's a defective T-Rex you guys got.
A belly hanging out. It was like
it was a little
fighters.
It was a little flabby. It definitely was. She didn't look good. She didn't look like a professional fighter.
Flabby than her.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe so. Yeah, I don't know. How the fuck should I know?
Yeah, right. But I'm like, I
don't know. Last night you're pretty tight, bro.
Thanks, Kyle. So Rick and Morty's back on. Kyle, yes, I want the judgment from you. Were you right or were you wrong?
I was wrong. I was wrong, and I'm pleasantly surprised that I was wrong. They aired the fucking episodes back to back, and I guess that's a median solution that I didn't even consider. To me, it was a binary decision. It was either waste your money or don't waste your money. But they seemed like they were like, just let's make it a Rick and Morty night, and then throw it up on the network, and like let's get the buzz going. It seems like they got all their ad revenue by playing it back to back anyway, and.
Was the second episode really good? I haven't seen it yet.
You haven't fucking seen it? How could you not?
No, not yet.
But it wasn't mind blowing. Like I don't feel like you have to watch it 4 times to find all the subtleties in the plot and like the mysterious workings of the unlimited universes and all that. It was really just. Is it a secret at all?
This one was called Rick Mancing the Stone, and it's sort of Mad Max. They go to a reality where that is the case on Earth, and so they kind of hang out in this Mad Max world instead of going home and dealing with the fact that Jerry is divorcing their mother and moving out and is a total fucking loser. And Jerry keeps having these really sad moments where he's like by his U-Haul all alone, and the wind blows and it goes loser, and he goes what? And it's pretty.
Jerry
it's a real downer for Jerry.
He's one of those characters where they're just so pathetic that it makes me sad. Like they're such losers. Like there are so many clips of like just clearly like wife doesn't respect him at all. Children think he's a fucking idiot. Like no middle ground. Not like, well, sometimes dad knows what's best. It's like no, never that. It's like Andy in The Office. He made me feel like that because he was such a pathetic loser who nobody respected, and everybody kind of smirked at. Andy Bernard.
Oh, thank you.
The guy who would just start to...
He's in Parks and Rec, and I can't reconcile this. Okay, carry on.
Like he's the guy who would just like start singing falsetto in The Office, where he just do, and that, just thinking about it makes my skin crawl. It's so uncomfortable. But yeah, do you guys get that feeling from him? Like
I liked
of
him.
Jerry, of like he's such a loser. It's not even likable loser. It's like, oh, you're just uncomfortable.
I think that's the point. And like Morty had that point. Remember what Morty does in this episode? He has this like breaking point where he goes into a rage and he's like saying what he wants to say to his dad. He's like, why can't you just either leave or say you want to stay and be a man? And he's just freaking the fuck out on this while he like does some crazy shit. Morty kills a lot of people this episode. He's a real murderer.
That's become a trend. Yeah, he's killed more and more as the show goes on. It's
different this time.
Yeah. Morty and his sister murder quite a lot in this episode. Just lots of murder. I love Rick. He's such a nihilist, you know. There's this part where like you don't know if Summer's like walking off to do her own thing, and he's got his portal ready to go, and Morty's like, I don't know, Rick, Morty, you got to get my sister. You can't just leave her here, Rick. And he's like, there are infinite versions of your sister, Morty. Let's just roll. Mm-hmm. He's like, and she's just walking off. It's great. It's great. I loved all the murdering she did. There was that part at the. I'm not gonna spoil. That would be a spoiler for Taylor. That actually is that'll mess up the joke. But I thought it was a good episode, but not a great episode. I guess to answer your original question, it wasn't amazing. You're right. It wasn't so deep that it requires multiple viewings. And I did watch it twice, but I didn't find any like subtext or anything hidden there.
I find the Rick for a cartoon, Rick and Morty is so complicated. I'll need to watch it more than once. And I'm sure there's some genius out there who thinks I'm a fool. But say what you will, it takes me a couple times, and there's callbacks, and there's complexities, and there's like, oh, remember this thing? You know, the theories about how that's the different Morty who's not from like C-134 or whatever. I don't think this episode contained any of those details.
The only thing was, there was like one. I guess it really delved deep into their emotional problems. Like that was the darkness of the show. Is like everybody's really fucked up emotionally right now. Like both kids are going through their father's divorce, and the dad is all fucking crazy. There were a lot of weird kind of. It wasn't that there were like moments of intrigue that you needed to figure out an equation to solve. It was more like there were a couple of just really dark moments in the show, just really dark stuff. I thought that those robot children, that was really dark. I thought that some of those murders Morty committed, like maybe the last one in particular, was just real fucking dark. Remember, that guy
Morty needed killing.
Yeah, I guess.
Just love killing.
I just love killing. Women, babies, whatever.
Women, children. I just love killing. Yeah.
So yeah, it was a good episode, but not a great episode, I guess. But I'm glad it's back, and I'm glad they started out, and I was wrong, and that they started out giving us both episodes, or whatever. That was cool.
Yeah, and Game of Thrones happened.
I liked this episode quite a bit. We finally got fucking Jon Snow and Dany on the screen together, and they kept them on screen together for like 15 minutes or something.
Was that good?
I liked their initial little conversation where it was like Daenerys having, whatever the hell that slave girl's name is, or ex-former slave. She probably couldn't quit if she wanted to, but leave that for the weeds.
Yeah, but, right?
Like right away, she's like, Daenerys Stormborn of the House Targaryen, first of her name, Lord of the Grasslands, and whatever the hell. And then
the unburnt, the breaker of chains, the mother of dragons.
This is Jon Snow, King in the North.
Yeah, and then he's like, he's the King of the North. He's like, King of the North.
Nope, there's nothing more than King of the North for us. He's like. I liked that a lot because it was basically kind of hammering home like the differences in what kind of leaders they were. One of them is a leader that is carried by their name, and the fact that they fell ass backwards into a pile of dragons like one of those claw machines at a bowling alley. She just, whoops, it looks like I've got dragons now. Like that's the way she got her power. And since then, she's just been not in the most intelligent way parlaying her tokens and redeeming them across the slave cities and trying to get to Westeros. Jon, on the other hand, does not have the name benefit. As a matter of fact, it's the opposite. He's a bastard. And number two, he has no real claim to the throne as far as anybody's aware in that point in time. And three, he got his position not because he fell ass backwards into dragons and had the Targaryen name. He got it because he was the fucking best person for the job at the Wall. And everybody loved him and trusted him. It's like
For a bit.
It was a real juxtaposition of the different kinds of leaders. Of Jon, the person pushed up by their people, like really a grassroots kind of leader, and then Daenerys, who's almost a pretend grassroots leader with the Targaryen name and the dragons. Maybe that's not what they did.
So the Khaleesi is kind of a Hillary Clinton type character, and Jon Snow is more of a Bernie Sanders, like pull yourself up from your bootstraps to socialism.
Well, both of those characters are much, much better than either of those politicians. I like them much more. Jon Snow didn't walk in there and go, I need every bit of dragon glass that you have in this whole place, and I'm gonna need you to pay me to take it. It's like no, he didn't do that, and.
That's funny.
But yeah, that's the way I kind of saw that.
Did
scene.
you like
you guys get a different feel?
Did you notice a bit of foreshadowing there? At least I think I did. As they're walking up that curvy staircase to Dragonstone, Jon Snow and Tyrion with the rest in tow. He says something like, "Yes, it's true. Stockmen don't fare well when they travel north or south." And he's like, "But I'm not Stark." And then the fucking dragon swoops in right as he says that on cue, like a little, keep in mind, everyone, he's a fucking Targaryen. Don't forget, that's his dragons flying.
Yep, that was
because he's totally going to he's going to ride the dragon named after his dad, right? Of course, Viserion or whatever its name is.
Yeah, no, that's not. Viserion is the one named for Dany's brother that died.
And that's his dad.
Helmet.
That's his dad. Yeah. So that's Jon Snow's dad.
Wait, so help me because I'm confused. I thought Rhaegon was Jon Snow's dad.
It is.
Yeah, and the name of the dragon. Okay, Rhaegar. Well,
Rhaegar is the guy's name. Rhaegon was the dragon's name. Viserion.
She adds in because it's a dragon.
This is a fan theory I haven't heard till just now.
I got it. I just figured it out. Okay, so she named one of them after Drogo, right? And he's Drogon. And
you just got this?
Yes, yes. Well, I knew they were named
I didn't
after
know this
them,
either.
I knew they were named
I don't like
after
the name Drogon because it's just dragon with an O.
Yeah. I knew the names were named after Drogo and her two brothers Viserys and what's
like
Jon
naming your
Snow's
dog
father?
Doug.
But I guess it never clicked that she was adding the O-N to the end of the word to indicate dragon. Yes. that never clicked to me. I guess it does now. That makes a lot of sense. But yeah, I think that's what's going to happen. So you're going to have the Khaleesi riding Drogon, as she always liked to do. You're going to have Jon Snow riding the other Rhaegon, and then I think Tyrion hops on Viserion.
You know why I think you're wrong? I think these dragons are going to drop a lot faster when they enter battle than you're giving them credit for. They are
you
not
think death or wounded?
Death. I think I think that every time 2 or 3 dragons go into battle, 1 or 2 leave.
I think that there's 0% chance before the end of the series that Drogon, the big dragon, dies. Because, if the big dragon dies, then they have to be like, all right, Daenerys, we're going to have to rely on your military expertise to win this battle now. And they're going to go, oh, no. Does anybody know military strategy? Grey Worm, do you know military strategy? I mostly was taught to fight with a spear and no pants on. It's like, oh, damn. I really shouldn't have sent my advisors away. That won't happen, but the little dragons, at least one of them will die. Guaranteed.
Yeah. I think Viserion dies, if we're going to take guesses. Why not?
Yeah.
I think they all die.
I hope that Viserion and Rhaegon die.
We'll see. Yeah, but I think they'll serve their purpose before they die. I think that's the caveat, in my opinion, is that these will not be useless dragons. There may be some dragons that die in a useless way or whatever, but some dragons at some point are going to rain fucking fire down on a lot of people and or dead men at the same time. It's going to be great.
What I would do if I lived in this age and I was against Daenerys. No one's thought of this, and I would have won the war single-handed. I would have had to charge for it. Basically, what you do is you take a whole herd of cattle that are going to be close to where the dragons are, and you poison them. You get all of the cattle poisoned as fuck, or just tape a goddamn plastic bag full of poison next to it. They're not very, the dragon's not analyzing everything. He's just roasting it and then eating it. That's what you do. You just let the dragon eat itself to death on venom, or not venom, on poison. Isn't that a good idea? Maybe you just feed wildfire to a cow.
You know how horses have those like bags for storage? They just sort of drape over their back, and on either side you can store things like a pack mule. Just put those on all over the cows.
Just arsenic, just pounds of arsenic on there. I think it's a great idea.
Okay. Yeah. Well, you want to. Here's what wasn't a great idea. Whoever wrote the fucking Queen's Revenge, because that was lame as shit. I was sitting there like, oh my god, it's gonna be so hard to watch. And she's like, I poisoned her. It'll be painless, and you'll have to watch. And I'm like, I thought of 3 things worse than that while we were sitting here. So like, what is this?
Dude, I didn't realize she was behind. I thought Peter Baelish was behind Joffrey's death all this time.
There was a big conspiracy, but there was a whole conspiracy involved in it. But Olenna was the one who takes the thing and drops it in the cup.
Okay.
Because it was on Sansa's necklace. She comes over to Sansa. Oh, this is so pretty. Blah, blah, blah. Boink. Hits the poison, and then she goes over and drops it in the cup.
The reason that it was so horrible.
Littlefinger was part of the conspiracy to get Sansa taken away in the night, or what he was conspiring with Olenna to make the whole thing happen. But the conspiracy involved. No one really explained who gave the necklace to the knight who was the fool. But I think it was Baelish. I think okay. Baelish tells the foolish knight that Sansa saved this foolish knight's life. Right. He shows up late to it. Okay, you remember that. So drunk, and they were going to kill him, but she says, no, a worse fate is to make him your fool, spare him, and they do. And so that guy's very thankful. Peter gives that guy the poison necklace, says, give this to Sansa. He gives it to Sansa, says, this is the last valuable thing my family has. You take it. She takes it. So then there's poison there at the wedding. Olenna is in on all of this with Peter. It's probably her master plan. There was a part, if you can really think back, it's right when I think they stormed maybe Peter Baelish's brothel or something. I hope this doesn't predate that, but it seems like Olenna and Peter were conspiring together. I think there's a scene where that happens.
The ending more than you. And here's so Game of Thrones historically punishes mercy, right? They punish bad decisions. Bad things happen to main characters because they go too soft. That's a thing. And Jaime was like, hey, I talked Cersei out of all these horrible deaths you could have had. I decided that you should have this nice queen's, fitting, painless death. And then she verbally stabs him with the, I killed your son. I want Cersei to know that I did this and that. And it's like, aha, yes, punish the mercy. That's what Game of Thrones does. And I thought that was cool. What I didn't like about the episode was when they took Casterly Rock, it was a very weak battle scene. Just a little montage, and we called it good. And then when they took High Garden, it was worse. Yep. All he did is stroll in, and they didn't show any battle at all. But I'm told that next week, the battle makes Battle of the Bastards look weak. It looks lame.
You know what it's going to... I don't know. I haven't seen any previews. I try to stay away from that stuff. But my thoughts were the next thing has to be Eastwatch. And at Eastwatch, you've got the Wildlings versus the Army of Dead, and perhaps the Hound has made it there, and certainly Arya will be part of this episode as well. The little tidbit that I noticed that I watched a couple videos after the fact, and no one else seemed to notice it either, is that with the Lannister army that is taking Highgarden is Samwell Tarly's father. He's joined with them in the Riverlands, and they had discussed that previously. Jaime had went to him and they had discussed this, but he was like, I've known Olenna since I was a child, et cetera. And it seemed like he was going to side with Olenna, but here you see him out there riding right next to Bronn in the formation. I
walked away thinking he decided to join Jaime. I can't remember.
He did. That's what I was saying. Yeah, he's out there with.
But what you said was, it seemed like during the conversation with Jaime he wasn't going to go for it, but it turned out he did. And I remembered it. That he was going to go for it, and it turned out he did. I forget what the tipping thing was for me.
The poisoning that I was talking about earlier that I thought was lame, though, was what happened to the Sand Snakes. What happened to
Marcella?
Marcella, the dog. This is why I think you're wrong with that, Kyle. You were saying it wasn't intense enough.
Yeah.
You're going to renege on that in like 2 episodes, I bet, and say this is way more hardcore than I anticipated, because all she isn't just leaving her there to watch her daughter die painlessly. She's going to keep her alive and have her sit there as she just rots. We're going to come back in like 3 episodes, and she's going to be, skin falling off and bones showing, and she just has to sit there and watch her own daughter rot as she can't do anything. Like, it's going to be psychological warfare that's so intense.
The daughter's going to die within a week, and she's going to watch her corpse rot.
Yes.
The daughter's not going to rot alive.
No. The daughter's going to die.
You said you're going to keep her alive, and she'll have to watch her.
No, they're going to keep the mother alive.
They're going to keep the mother alive. Yes, and then she's just forced to be there while her only living daughter, or now no living daughters, is just rotting, stinking, festering, bugs eating her flesh.
Yeah, she's good to know that we're keeping the queen of a country who hates our fucking guts captive somewhere in our house. I'm sure she won't get loose at some point.
Yeah, that she might get punished for some. She might get punished for that. Cersei, that is. That might backfire on her.
Yeah, should have taken care of that right
then and there. Cersei is a cold bitch. She is up there in she's definitely in the discussion for the most evil character in the show.
Was anyone worried for Jaime? Was anyone worried for Jaime when she just had wiped that deadly poison off her lips and then she sucked his cock?
Yeah. And she kissed him too. And I wasn't sure if we were meant to think that was safe or not.
Yeah, I think we were meant to think. People are very, very blasé with their poison use in this world where, there's Cersei, do you want to put it on right before you kiss her? No, I'm going to put it on 20 minutes prior and then give a speech. If I accidentally lipped my lips, then I deserve it, don't I?
I know.
That's
they telegraph.
Or maybe feed her a little piece of lipstick. Nobody's there watching.
Yeah, they really telegraphed that one. I saw that one coming.
Did you?
Yeah, because her lips, she never wears that shade of lipstick. I noticed. It was her lips are awfully red, and she's showing her teeth. Something about the way she spoke showed her teeth more. And I don't know, it was almost like she was trying not to lick her lips or something. And I don't know.
Do you remember the way my son died?
That's how I'd be talking. She'd be like, "Are you poison on your lips?" No.
The very prospect of that is laughable.
No. Maybe Trump has poison on his lips. No, sure he doesn't.
That's right.
If I had poison on my lips, that's the way I would talk.
Scaramucci.
Trying to hide it.
This was my favorite measure of the whole Scaramucci come and go thing. If you had bought milk when he was hired, it would have still been okay to drink when he quit.
That's funny.
I don't know if there's more Game of Thrones talk. I feel like we finished.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't know who Scaramucci is because I didn't follow politics for that week.
Yeah, right. 10 days.
Was he? Did he replace Sean Spicer?
He was the new Spicer. So he came in there, and on day one, I thought this guy was good. Right, I was wrong, but I thought this guy was good. He came in there with a kind of New York swagger and gravitas. That's what he has. So when he talked to Jake Tapper, when he talked to these guys, he was like an equal with them. He didn't get pushed around. Spicer was always trying to dodge and look, I don't know what to tell you. I just didn't talk to the president about that. There's nothing I can do for you. Scaramucci was going head to head with this guy, and I can man. And Trump was I know all the best people. I'm going to hire the best people. He's something he said a lot. And I was is this the particular guy he was talking about? Scaramucci's been setting up this job for 6 months, selling his business and such so that he could do it. And he had this swagger and this gravitas, and I thought he was a bit of a sycophant, and he kissed Trump's ass too much. There was some Kim Jong-un stuff going on. He's this guy hits home runs. He sinks 3-foot putts. I saw him in
I've seen him throw a football through a tire.
Yeah,
he's a competitive.
He nails
winner.
basketball shots from the top of the key, 3-point range.
Did he say these things?
Yes. No. These are literally things.
Yes, he did.
These were metaphors. He didn't really say these things.
He said these things.
Did he mean metaphorically?
People wildly underestimate my hook shot. Ask anyone.
He was talking about his athletic. It reminded me of the Kim Jong-il, I think, the first one. Apparently, he played golf the first time, 18 strokes, 18 holes, never played again because it bored him. Right? That's the kind of and I'm oh my God, the comparisons here seem so clear to me. And but more than that, he said some other stuff too that was actually true. Do you know anyone else on the planet who could enter politics 1 year ago and become president? This guy is a winner, and it's well. Scores posted on that. You got to accept that. That happened.
That's actually, yeah.
That's pretty true.
Yeah.
No, okay, there's a completely isolated true thing you said. Now let's get back to what he's doing. That's
fair.
Okay, that was last year, but that's over now.
He was kind of saying, like, this is the most amazing man you'll ever see. He's got a great foul shot, and, he became president in 1 year. You stick back, you watch, this is going to be amazing. And he's pumping him up. And I'm like, you know what? Give Trump his due. He did win the presidency. Scaramucci's crushing it. He got this new guy in here. There's a new swagger to the White House. And then he called this guy, I think it was from the Washington Post, I'm not sure. And because he's new to this job, he doesn't understand the whole on the record, off the record thing. And he's like, tell me who your fucking source is. Right? He wants to know who the leaker is in the White House. So he's calling reporters and berating them. He's like, tell me your fucking source. Look, man. He's like, I'm not like Reince Penis. I'm not trying to, his name is Priebus or something like that. I'm not trying to get famous. I'm not like Steve Bannon. I'm not sitting in the White House trying to suck my own cock. This is what he's saying to the reporter. Yeah. So that this comes out the next day and it dominates the headlines for some period of time. It's all they talk about. A few days later, he's fired. Now, mind you, the things that he did to get this job, he sold his $180 million business to get this job.
Fuck.
Did he miss the birth of his child to get this job? Did that just happen or did that happen before? His wife divorced him over this job, said his naked political ambition and love of Trump. His wife filed divorce papers. And then this is all in like 10 days. And then he gets fired.
I mean, the divorce papers haven't even had time to go through. At this point, just be like, honey, do we still want a divorce? She's like, well, I guess the whole problem kind of solved itself, didn't it? I also heard do you know he was like a max contributor to Obama's campaign?
I didn't.
In 2008.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. He's a Democrat donor. And then it's like what? And that's what confused me about like Trump picking him. And I'm more similar to Kyle's boat for this last 10 days of political news than yours. I didn't follow it too closely, but God, those sports analogies were uncomfortable, and the cock comment was hilarious. And so I was honestly, I was a big fan of that. Like when I saw that, I was like, man, I really hope this guy sticks around.
What did
just so that we get more?
I saw.
And he became foul mouthed, but at the podium, like. All right, cocksuckers, let's hear it. Come on.
My favorite was this, that they're like, there were two reporters talking, I forget which, and they're like, if Steve Bannon could do that, then he'd never leave his office. And another guy goes, well, how often do you see Steve Bannon? That's the conversation they're having. Like, maybe he can suck his own cock because he's really not doing a lot.
Yeah, he really isn't around the West Wing too often,
It was great. It was great. And did they replace Scaramucci yet? I don't think they did.
I wouldn't know.
Yeah,
not sure yet.
But then they replaced Reince Priebus, who was the chief of staff.
The most important job. That's Leo. If it was the West Wing, that's Leo. That's an important position. It seems like
very much
the West Wing is the firmest grasp on our political system that I have.
That's your barometer.
You watch 6 or 7 seasons of that shit. You know how it works.
The thing is, I know that Priebus was doing a good job. Like he was kind of set up to fail because a lot of people didn't work for him. Like Ivanka didn't work for him. Kushner didn't work for him. They all reported straight to Donald. So he was kind of set up to fail in that regard. Bannon didn't work for him. And they're working against him. But you know what? I think most people agree that the first 6 months of the Trump presidency has been very, very bad. Yeah, he hasn't had any major accomplishments, and not just people who look at him through the blue lens, but a lot of people, more than half people, think that like Trump is not off to a good start, that he's failing, that he's kind of an embarrassment, right?
What if he takes out Kim? God, you get me. After listening to you mess his name up a few times, and I can't.
I'm going to do that to a lot of names.
Kim Il-sung is the grandfather. Kim Jong-il. Kim Il-sung is not the grandfather?
No, I thought you were going in the wrong direction. You got it.
Okay. Kim Il-sung is the grandfather. Kim Jong-il is the father. Kim Jong-un is the current dictator of North Korea. I know these things, but sometimes
you for 10 more seconds.
Well, fuck. I'm like, what the fuck?
Kim Jong, I got that much.
If he handles that guy well, I think that might be. I'm not going to say it won't make his presidency a good one, but it'll be like. There'll be a shining spot to look back to
Historians
as of
might
like
look
next
on it.
year.
Like I feel like you take Obama's whole presidency. I feel like there's a lot of things that mistakes he didn't make that we just don't look at, right? But they look at his change in healthcare thing as really the difference that he made. You know, in everything he's done, that the American Health Care Act is probably the most significant change that he made. If North Korea is somehow solved in a good way, they might look back at Trump's presidency and be like, yeah, there was a lot of chaos. And no one's going to give a crap about some 10-day press secretary who used naughty language. If he fixes North Korea,
anyone who solves North Korea that's going to be their legacy, because that would be like the biggest achievement of any recent president at all. It'd be like, oh, what'd you do? Oh, you pushed some legislature. That's really cool. That's really cool. You know, oh, what did I do? Yeah, I solved the only closed, despotic, horrible country left on earth where there's people born into slave camps. We took care of that. Like, that would overshadow any president's achievements, I feel like.
It depends on what it took to do it, right? Like, let's say hypothetically,
it seems too hard.
3 presidents after Trump is me, and the thing is already practically tipped over, and it happens on my watch. I might get some undeserved credit.
Yeah. But what I really want, I swear to God, what I want was one of those presidential addresses where the camera just fucking starts black and then opens up, and there he is at his desk. Trump's sitting there, and he's talking about North Korea, and then he starts listing some statistics. He's reading off his teleprompter, telling you how bad it is, and telling you there's only one solution, and the leader of this place has to be taken out. And don't worry, you don't have to wait, because they like bring him out. He's got him right. They got him all bound and gagged. They got Kim Jong-un right fucking there. He's like, here he is. Here he is. You don't want to be causing any more problems, are you, fat boy? Like, give him a slap on the ass, and
these
like
people think he doesn't
guys drag him away.
Watch this. Pull his pants down, knee him in the stomach.
They say this man does not poop, but he's been shitting himself all night. All night.
Pull down his soiled underwear.
The link at Bedward will never smell the same again. Yeah, that would be great. Just capture him and broadcast that shit back to his home country and be like, we hope that you find, you know, some new leadership maybe. Like if he handled it that way, like some sort of precise surgical thing, not literally kidnapping the leader of another country and broadcasting on our airwaves.
They'd find a way to make him look bad for that.
If they sit special forces in and they fucking like took out that family. They pulled an Arya Stark and they just took out the Kim family, like all of the fucking people that are, and they went to some general and were like, look, we need you to work with us. We'll work with you. Whatever politics you want to run it, but no more human rights abuses, and the UN's going to be coming in here and monitoring shit. Cool. And he sorts that, then yeah, then Trump rises from like maybe the worst president of all time to like bottom 25%, you know, like that'd be big.
So far, he's like, China, you can keep raping us on the economy if you fix the North Korea thing. That's his deal. And China was like, I accept half your terms.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm
China literally came out
at all. Yeah.
They've already, China said that the other day, like that they're out. And Trump keeps saying that he's going to solve it. They're really plowing headlong into a war. It seems to me a scary one.
So full of shit. He promises everything in 2 weeks. Right, that's a thing. Remember, he was going to fix ISIS like in 30 days. Remember, he had
problem
a plan.
Solved, buddy.
He was going to.
When's the last time you heard about an ISIS problem?
Yeah. When's the last time you heard about terrorism all the time? Yeah.
I think mostly they're running and hiding right now because drones keep blowing their shit up. Like,
is it Trump? I thought Trump pulled out and let Russia handle it. That was one of his plans too.
There are definitely still ISIS attacks happening all the time. Yeah.
I haven't heard about any good ones lately.
ISIS is going to wind down, and they'll be like ISIS next or something. Whatever. I haven't heard about Al Qaeda for a while.
They killed pretty soon. They'll be back on the JV team.
No one gives Obama tons of. No one gives Obama. That's funny. Obama lots of credit for taking out Al Qaeda. Right? They did. Right? Al Qaeda's gone. Osama bin Laden murdered. He's so murdered that they couldn't show pictures of his corpse.
Well, no, leaders of Al Qaeda splintered off, and a lot of them are who formed ISIS.
Which is kind of where I'm headed to. So I wouldn't be at all surprised if during Trump's term ISIS dropped down, and I called it ISIS, but whatever, whatever
the hell the next thing is. Yeah.
And they're like, hey, we took out ISIS. I bet Trump would really celebrate that. Never mind that the next one is just firing up.
Put up a big mission accomplished.
He's not as good at propaganda as I thought he would be.
That's true, actually.
Like he's good. I felt like he would be. It's like during the campaign, and especially during the days of the tail end of Obama's presidency, when he was kind of waiting in the wings. It was like he was always trying to come up with these things. Look what I did. Look what I did, everyone. Look at this thing I did. Just with a phone call, I made this happen and that happen, and he's not doing that anymore. Mm-hmm. That's why, like, 6 months ago, if you told me like yeah, he kidnapped the president of North Korea and made him talk terms. He showed it on TV. I'd be like, that does kind of fit his playbook, doesn't it? Yeah, he's crazy like that. But now I'm like, nah, he's not doing that fucking crazy. He seems like he got in there and they were like, sir, no, how would we even get him? We don't know where he is. like they were like, really? Like you don't always know? Like you can't see through his walls? Like I can't like click some buttons right now and look at him? No, you've watched far too much CSI, sir.
Yeah, I like the way you stated it. He's not as good as propaganda as I thought he'd be. And the thing is, every time he tries it, right, he's like, we've been the most productive presidency since Lincoln or something like that. People
since Lincoln.
It's like it's something really far back. Might have been Hoover, whatever it is.
He was so wrong. You could, and then I read the whole article where they laid out presidential productivity case by case and the varying ways to quantify that. That they'll say, well, this guy did this and that, but look at the time period he existed in. These other things were happening. They were factors that gave him more or less, or this was a year when this couldn't happen, and so blah blah blah. And they really broke down and explained the case really well for why Trump is one of the least busy, least effective presidents ever. That there were these other presidents who came in and like FDR comes in with like the New Deal or whatever, and like Hoover comes in with the highway
extended the
system.
Depression. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the closest president of ours of seizing like a kingship. So that would have been shitty.
Well, we needed him. 12 years of
did not need him.
A firm leadership.
There's some people who think he's among the best presidents ever. And
I can't argue with that. I like FDR because I know the criticism of the New Deal, but it seemed to work out in the long run, and we'll patch it up eventually.
We're gonna get a better deal.
The way he led us through that war, I felt was really interesting. I saw a thing on 4chan the other day. Like it was like, be the leader of a country, like go to war, seize control of the economy. Ignore presidential laws and establish yourself for 12 years. And at the end, and it's got a picture of Hitler, of course. And at the end, it's like, be FDR. It was like they were describing FDR. And the other one was like, put your citizens in concentration camps. It was still FDR, of course, with the Japanese internment.
According to this UCLA article, FDR's policies prolongated the Depression by 7 years, according to UCLA economists.
Wow. That's a shame.
I'm just going to the historical rankings of presidents. I don't know where FDR is going to land.
There's so many ways to rank them. I wonder how they do it. Like, if they did it by, like, war, I bet he'd do better.
I rank
Actually, that's lower than I expected. Am I?
Who's the lowest? Like, that guy who got caught in his bathtub?
It's 32nd ranked by order, so that's not fair.
He was just... the 31st.
Yeah.
In order.
Actually, if you go by aggregate, he's the second best president in the history of America.
Boom.
I bet Lincoln is first, and they are wrong.
Washington should always be first.
Lincoln is first. Here, I'll just go down a couple of the top ones.
And
Lincoln,
then Reagan.
FDR, Washington, Roosevelt, Jefferson, Truman, Wilson, Eisenhower, Jackson, Kennedy.
I like Washington's my favorite president. I'm a big fan of Teddy Roosevelt, the guy who cured himself of fucking asthma and had this crazy like outdoorsman attitude. Like they named the teddy bear
party. Yeah.
Yeah. I like his whole attitude. I like his war career. Like some of the things he did against the Mexicans were very courageous. Like he like navigated this lava field on his own to find a path for his men to take to flank the enemy. And he led the Rough Riders. He was a wild game hunter. I admire all those things. I even like his motto: speak softly and carry a big stick. All that shit's cool. So he's definitely up there. Lincoln's way the fuck down my list because he couldn't figure out a way to keep our goddamn country together without 650,000 people dying or something like that. And find a compromise, bro. Like why does that make him a good president? That he just led us into that incredibly self-destructive.
He freed the slaves. I mean, there's a lot of people who like being free.
Well, yeah,
most of them, I'd argue.
But it would have been better if he'd done that while like not fighting the.
Well, I'm sure
the most
he offered a non-war option.
I wasn't there, so I still hold it against him, and I think FDR was very good.
He's second
Reagan,
best, apparently.
I give Reagan a lot of credit for getting rid of the Soviets and never starting a fucking global war with them. Kind of keeping
roughly 17th best.
Okay.
What is this list? Is this like time or?
So what I did is I went to the Wikipedia article. I'll give you a link. And that is not the link. That is just
Hoover's infrastructure stuff is, I mean, you got to be thankful for that, without the highway system and those dams and all that stuff.
Historians' presidential rankings. And then I went to the far right column where it says aggregate, and I sorted on the aggregate.
Oh, I see. Oh, yeah, because there's a ton of different categories.
Well, there's just the different people. Like, C-SPAN does one, Wall Street Journal does one, a bunch of them, actually. So I just went to aggregate. It's like to get like a collective thing. Yeah,
those were some of the most influential, I guess, if nothing else. I think that's a good way to like rank them by how much influence they had, how much change they enacted on the world, the country, all that stuff.
James Buchanan. James Buchanan is a fucking loser.
He got last.
Almost everybody is shitting on.
Was he the guy who was president for like? Was he president for like a year and died or something, or he got sick?
No, he was president for one term. He was right before Lincoln.
Didn't do anything, eh?
Yeah, maybe. Well, he served right before the Civil War, so maybe that reflects even worse on him.
Yeah, I bet it does. Yeah, you'd have to. That only makes sense if you look at our current political system. While it may have happened under Lincoln's watch, like surely the symptoms were visible and evident for a long time. Yeah.
You guys want to call it a show?
Yeah. All right. PKN episode 155.